Imagine this. It's the year 1933, and a man named William Branham receives a prophetic vision from God. In that vision, he's shown not only the future of America, but its eventual downfall. One of the most startling parts of this vision? A woman, yes, a woman, would rise to power and possibly even become president. Now, fast forward to today. It's 2024, an election year, and the world is watching. Could we be seeing that prophecy from 1933 play out right before our eyes? You don't want to miss what's coming next because this story will send chills down your spine. Let's go back to 1933. William Branham wasn't just any man. He was a preacher, known for his miracles and, more importantly, for his prophecies. That year, Branham had a vision of 7 major events that would shape the world, including the rise of Adolf Hitler, World War II, and advances in technology. But among these visions, one stands out the most. He saw the rise of a powerful woman in America, someone who would take control at a time when no one thought it was possible. Remember, back then, the idea of a female leader was unheard of. But today? It's starting to feel all too real. But why should we take this seriously? Well, here's the thing, William Branham wasn't just any so-called prophet. His track record is chillingly accurate. He predicted the rise of Adolf Hitler, the Second World War, and even the design of modern cars, all at a time when these things seemed impossible. And now, with many of his prophecies having already come to pass, it's hard to ignore this one about a woman rising to power. He's been right before. Could he be right again? You might be thinking, why should I care? It's just another election year. But here's why this prophecy demands your attention. It's not just about who's in office. Branham's vision was a warning that when this woman rises to power, America's end will be near. And if there's even the slightest chance this prophecy is true, then we are standing on the edge of something far greater than politics. This is about the future of an entire nation, and possibly, the world. So stay with me, because in the next few minutes, we're going to break this down. What exactly did Branham see? How close are we to this becoming reality? And most importantly, what can we do now, before it's too late? You don't want to miss this. Let me take you back to 1933, a year when the world was in turmoil, but something extraordinary happened. William Branham, a preacher known for his miraculous ministry, was given a series of prophetic visions that would outline the course of history. 7 major events were shown to him, each one more remarkable than the last. From global dictators to world wars and even futuristic technology, Branham saw it all. The question is, how much of it has already come true, and what does that mean for us today? You'll want to stay until the end of this video as we explore some of the most astounding prophecies ever recorded. Now, Branham wasn't just given one vision. No, he saw 7 distinct events that would unfold over the decades. These weren't vague predictions, each vision came with incredible detail. He saw the rise of political leaders who would shape the world, military conflicts that would tear nations apart, and advancements in technology that would change the way we live. What's is that many of these events have already happened, and some are unfolding right now before our eyes. So, what were these events? And more importantly, what do they tell us about the future? One of the most shocking parts of Branham's prophecy was his vision of Adolf Hitler and Benito Mussolini. At a time when their names weren't yet synonymous with evil, Branham saw them rising to power, leading their nations into a dark period of history. He spoke of fascism, communism, and Nazism, 3 isms that would dominate the world and bring immense destruction. And what did we see? Exactly that. World War II, the Holocaust, the rise and fall of dictators, these were events Branham foretold with accuracy. But there's more to this story, because his vision didn't stop with the 20th century. No, it extended far beyond, even touching on the very world we live in today. Now, here's where things get really interesting. Branham didn't just see political upheaval, he saw the future of technology. In 1933, Branham predicted that cars would eventually lose their traditional design and become sleek, egg-shaped vehicles without steering wheels. He described families traveling in these autonomous cars, playing games while the car drove itself. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? In a world where Teslas and self-driving cars are becoming more common, Branham's vision seems almost too accurate to ignore. And remember, this was decades before such technology even seemed possible. Branham's vision of a female president came at a time when women were far from the halls of power. But as the decades passed, things began to change. From the fight for women's suffrage to breaking political barriers, we've seen women rise in influence and authority. Today, the idea of a woman leading the country doesn't seem far-fetched. In fact, many believe we are on the cusp of seeing this part of Branham's prophecy fulfilled. Could this vision be pointing to something much closer than we think? In recent years, 2 women have come close to shattering that final glass ceiling. Hillary Clinton, in 2016, was one election away from becoming the first female president of the United States. And now, we have Kamala Harris, the current vice president, who is in a position of immense influence and could one day ascend to the highest office. Could either of these women be the fulfillment of Branham's vision? While no one can say for sure, the pieces seem to be falling into place, and the speculation is stronger than ever. What's clear is that political shifts in the United States are echoing Branham's prophecy. We're living in a time where the traditional power structures are being challenged, and a woman stepping into the presidency no longer seems impossible, it feels inevitable. As we watch these changes unfold, we must ask ourselves, are we witnessing the fulfillment of a prophecy nearly a century old? And if so, what does it mean for the future of America? When it comes to prophecy, America holds a significant position, especially in the vision William Branham shared. He warned of a time when the moral fabric of the nation would unravel, signaling a period of decline that would ultimately lead to its downfall. In 1933, this might have seemed distant, but looking at today's world, we can't help but ask, are we living in that reality right now? Over the years, we've seen a shift in the values that once defined America. Moral standards that were once upheld have steadily eroded, with issues like greed, corruption, and immorality becoming more rampant. Many argue that this decline is not just a societal issue, but a prophetic fulfillment, one that echoes the warnings Branham gave. It's hard to ignore the rising tensions, the divisions, and the crumbling of ethical boundaries in so many aspects of American life. Branham's prophecy didn't just speak about cultural decay, he warned of America's eventual downfall. In his vision, this wasn't just a gradual decline, it was a moment where the nation would face serious consequences for turning away from its moral roots. Could the turbulence we're witnessing, both politically and spiritually, be part of that prophetic warning? It's a sobering thought that forces us to reflect on where the country is heading. According to Branham's vision, America's political leaders would play a pivotal part in this story. Some see the rise and actions of modern political figures as direct fulfillments of his prophecy. Decisions made by these leaders, whether intentional or not, are steering the country toward its prophesied future. Are the leaders we choose, and the policies they enact, bringing us closer to this prophetic conclusion? When William Branham spoke of a woman rising to power in America, it wasn't just about the nation, it had global implications. This prophecy went beyond borders, warning of how our leadership could influence world events, particularly the threat of major political ideologies like communism, fascism, and Nazism. What seemed like distant threats in 1933 still hold relevance today, as we see these ideologies taking new forms across the globe. Though Branham's prophecy occurred nearly a century ago, we can't ignore the echoes of communism, fascism, and Nazism in today's world. In various countries, political movements are reviving authoritarian regimes, pushing nationalist agendas, and seeking to control global power. These ideologies, which have already shaped world history, continue to influence politics, economies, and international relations, just as Branham foresaw. His vision spoke of these forces gaining ground as signs of the end times. Branham didn't just stop at the rise of dangerous ideologies. He also foresaw a global war, one that could emerge from the growing tensions between nations as they align themselves with these political extremes. Whether through economic collapse, power struggles, or military conflict, Branham's vision suggested a war that would have devastating consequences for the world. Could we be on the brink of seeing this unfold as tensions rise between world powers and alliances shift in ways that threaten global stability? Branham's credibility isn't just built on the accuracy of his predictions, it's also tied to the miraculous nature of his ministry. He wasn't just a prophet, he was known for performing incredible healings and miracles that were witnessed by thousands. His accuracy, paired with these supernatural signs, convinced many that his words weren't just guesses, they were divine insights. To this day, many believers look to Branham's prophecies as a guide to understanding the unfolding of end-time events. As we look ahead to the upcoming 2024 election, it's essential to consider the prophetic insights shared by William Branham. Voter sentiment is shifting, and the political landscape is more polarized than ever. Keep an eye on the candidates who emerge and their platforms. Will they align with the prophetic vision Branham outlined? As we analyze their campaigns, we must also consider the broader implications of their policies, especially regarding moral standards and societal values. This election isn't just about political power, it's a reflection of deeper spiritual battles. Many believe that Branham's prophecy may not be limited to just this year. It's possible that we are witnessing the beginning of a much larger pattern that could span multiple elections. Just because we don't see a female president in 2024 doesn't mean that the prophecy isn't still in motion. Instead, it may be a sign of what's to come in future elections, a reminder that God's timeline often differs from our own. Amidst the noise and confusion, discernment becomes our most valuable tool. We must seek God's guidance through prayer, asking Him to provide clarity and understanding of the prophetic signs we are witnessing. The importance of staying spiritually grounded cannot be overstated, especially as we navigate these turbulent times. Prayer is our lifeline, empowering us to remain steadfast and prepared for whatever may come. So, how should believers respond to these prophetic signs? First, we must stay informed and vigilant. Engage with Scripture and allow it to shape your perspective on the unfolding events. Second, take action, support one another in prayer, encourage discussions in your communities, and share these prophetic insights with others. Finally, remain hopeful and faithful, trusting that God has a plan, even amidst uncertainty. By doing so, we can prepare ourselves not just for the challenges ahead, but for the glorious promise of His return. As we conclude our exploration of these prophetic insights, one truth becomes increasingly clear: there is an urgency in heeding the warnings that have been laid before us. William Branham's visions, particularly concerning the future of America and the rise of a woman in power, serve as a sobering reminder of the paths we must navigate. The prophetic warnings are not merely tales from the past, they are calls to action for us today. They urge us to reflect on our moral compass and the decisions that shape our nation. Ignoring these signs can lead to consequences we may not be prepared for. We must stay alert and responsive, recognizing the weight of the times we are in. Ultimately, amidst the chaos and uncertainty, our trust must remain firmly anchored in God's plan. He is sovereign over all, and while we may not fully understand His timing or methods, we can rest assured that He is at work. For America and the world, our hope lies in the divine promise of redemption and restoration. Let us hold fast to our faith, engage in prayer, and prepare our hearts for the days ahead, knowing that God's purpose will prevail. Thank you.